What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, joined by my co host, Will Cohen. The NHL trade deadline has come and gone, so it's time to start looking forward to the rest of the season. The Rangers have just 19 games left. They picked up a 4-0 win last night over the St. Louis Blues. Pretty dominant win. So I guess we can start by talking about that before we get into the main portion of the video. But the Rangers, they're in a tough spot. They played really well in February. They have a really hard schedule coming up to close out the season, and they need to finish strong. The Carolina Hurricanes are only 4 points behind them, so it's going to be a race to the finish line for pretty much the rest of the year. But if these three things happen that we're going to talk about today, the Rangers should be able to finish strong and keep it up, win the Metropolitan, and clinch the playoffs like we all know they hopefully will. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss a notification. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below on what you think needs to happen for the Rangers to finish the season strong. And lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. But before we really get into all that, Will, what were your thoughts on last night's game?
They played really well last night. Like, it was a complete 60-minute game. I thought that in the third period that it would happen. What they do in the third period usually I thought it was going to happen, but they played a full 60-minute for. It's like, I don't know if it's not the first time this year, but it hasn't happened in a while. So I was really impressed by the win. Igor looked amazing again. He is on fire, and I don't know. That was an awesome win, very good win, and the trade deadline pieces looked very good as well.
Yeah, they all looked pretty solid. We were robbed of a Matt Rempe goal. I do have to agree with the officials, though. I don't think that went in.
I don't agree with that. I was pissed. Me and my dad were pissed.
I think it would have been cool to see Matt Rempe score. We would have had more goals on the season than Barclay Goodrow. But let's get into the main topic of the video. 3 keys for the Rangers to finish the season strong. I think the first one, quite possibly one of the biggest ones, is Mika Zibanejad. He needs to really wake up and start scoring. It's Mika March, but it doesn't really feel like it yet. We're like a third of the way through the month, and he's still pretty much done absolutely nothing. We were kind of hoping with the trade deadline that the Rangers would go in and bring in a big name to kind of help Kreider and Zibanejad find their chemistry once again. That didn't happen. We're obviously happy about the Roslovic acquisition, but he's not the type of player that's going to save Zibanejad's season. Kreider, he started to score more. Kreider gets the pass for this episode. We'll see if he can keep it up. But Mika, his fate lies in his hands. He needs to do something, wake up, start playing better hockey. He has not scored a single point in his last 6 games. And looking at the entire season and 62 games played, he does have 54 points. So he's scoring a lot of points, but a lot of them have come on the power play. And he only has 19 goals. For someone who's known for his slap shot and scoring goals for the Rangers, he's not scoring a lot of goals this season. So I don't know, Will, what needs to change? How can Mika do this?
He just needs to shoot the puck more, and I think that comes with Roslovic being on that line because, yesterday I thought that line looked really, really good. I know Mika had a couple of good shots, but none of them obviously found the back of the net. But he needs to just start unloading shots on the power play. Like, that's it. Just start unloading, and shots are going to start to go in. Like yesterday, his shot looked a lot better on the power play. He actually got them on. They weren't wide. He actually got them on net. But I also think that having Roslovic, who's good in transition, if Mika usually carries the puck in for that line, but I think having Roslovic, like I said, who's good in transition, like it'll help him kind of. He doesn't have to worry about doing everything. He can get set up in his spot, and Roslovic's a good passer, so he can find him. So that's what I think needs to happen with Mika. He just needs to not have all the responsibility on his line. And I know that I shouldn't be saying that because he is our 1C, so he really should be having all the responsibilities, but that's not the type of player he is. So he really just needs to find his spot again, and he'll be fine.
Yeah. I fully agree with everything you said. I think one thing I want to add that would definitely help Zibanejad out is having a little bit more diversity in his shots. I think teams around the league have kind of picked up on the fact that Mika likes that one-timer from the circle, and it's become very easy for them to predict and then stop. there have been times where last season where Gallant would try to move Zibanejad to a different part of the ice on the power play. Eventually, he was running the point while Panarin was on the circle. That didn't really pan out either, but I think it's kind of spicing up his game a little bit, trying out something else. Will hopefully help Zibanejad wake up and start scoring more goals. Hopefully, the addition of Roslovic is the catalyst to getting Zibanejad to do that. But as far as I know, right now, 0 points in his last 6 games. That's inexcusable for our number one center. He needs to start scoring more points, and that's the first key to finishing.
And I want to add one more thing to what you said, because I noticed last night that, like, it was pretty evident to me last night that teams like knew he's shooting from the left wall on the power play, because Panarin, I think it was the first power play, had his head up the entire time. Like, there's no way Binnington knew he was going to pass this puck. He does, and Mika shoots it. I mean, Binnington just slides right over. Mika shoots right into his chest. So it was, to me, last night, that's when I kind of first noticed that teams are they know what he's doing, and they just got to change their personnel on the power play unit. Kind of just keep moving their feet, and maybe the Zibanejad will start scoring. Maybe put him on the point, like we just mentioned.
Yeah, he's kind of like Alex Ovechkin, where Ovechkin always just rips one-timers from that left circle, except Zibanejad is just not as good as Alex Ovechkin. So they don't go in as often anymore. But yeah, hopefully Mika can switch it up and get back on track. But moving into point number 2, the second key to finishing out the season strong, in my opinion, Igor Shesterkin. He just keeps playing good, keeps carrying the Rangers on his back, and he doesn't fall back into a slump. We know the month of January was pretty bad for Igor Shesterkin until February rolled around, and all of a sudden he just returned to form. He's playing great. He played last night against St. Louis. He picked up his second shutout of the season. And, we've had the problem in the past where the Rangers have to be carried by Shesterkin. I mean, you look back 2022 playoffs all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Wouldn't have happened without Igor. But luckily, we're at a point right now where we have some decent offense, or better than decent. We have great offense, great defense, and the final piece of the puzzle is just going to be great goaltending. If the Rangers want to win the Metropolitan Division, they're going to need a good goalie. They're facing a lot of really good teams coming up, which we'll move into in a little bit. But there's no room for error with Igor right now. He needs to keep playing good and just not fall back into the slump that we saw earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to fall back into that slump. He is on fire right now. Like, that yesterday was – he has played so well. There should have been a point where he had 3 straight shutouts during that stretch of him winning, what was it, 7 games in a row? I think it was against the Stars. He should have had a shutout. Against the Devils, he should have had a shutout. And then he should have had 1 more. He should be up to 5 this season, and they would have all came in that 10 to 12 game stretch that he's in right now. And having Igor Shesterkin is basically like having a third defender on the ice. He is right now, obviously in January, his glove was the worst thing about him. Nobody thought he was going to be able to figure it out sooner than he did now, and he did. He took the time, obviously. The coaches trust him. Allaire trusts him. They worked a lot, and he's just – the Rangers go as far as Igor goes, and which kind of discredits the offense because right now they're playing well, but come playoff time, it's really going to rely on Igor. Like, yeah, they're going to put up points, I think, but you go as far as Igor goes. He is the biggest key to winning a Stanley Cup. So him playing like this right now and as close to playoff time is huge for the Rangers, because that's also like a trade deadline acquisition. It's like you're getting the best goalie in the world back. That's huge. So him playing like he is right now, and I don't think he's going to slump again. It's going to be huge for the Rangers.
Yeah, I agree. I have no doubt that Igor is going to keep up his amazing play for the remainder of the season. But it's undeniable that he needs to. If he does start to slip up for whatever reason, it's all downhill from there. But yeah, let's transition into the last point we want to make in this episode. The third key to finishing out the season strong is that the Rangers win very key matchups in the remaining 19 games, which I know that sounds a little redundant. The key to success is winning games, but we need to talk about the rest of the schedule. I mean, yeah, the Rangers only lost one game in February, but I would argue that the teams we played against in February, it was like the easiest month of our schedule. There were a couple of hard games, that the Rangers were able to put up some dominant performances, but overall it was, in my opinion, relatively easy. As far as March and then the couple of games that are in April, a lot harder. It's going to be a much tougher task to get the job done. I mean, just look how March began. They took a loss to the Maple Leafs, and then they took another loss to the Panthers, two teams that are playoff bound. Panthers are top of the league, and the Rangers couldn't overcome them. Moving forward, they just beat the Blues, not the greatest team. Tomorrow they play against the Devils, again, not the greatest team. But then we go through a stretch where we play against some pretty good teams. Carolina's coming up on the 12th. We play Pittsburgh twice in 2 weeks. We play the Jets. We play Boston. We play Florida again. We play Philly. We play Colorado. There's a lot of really good teams coming up. And like I mentioned a lot earlier in this episode, yes, the Rangers do lead the Metropolitan Division, but it's only by 4 points. That game on the 12th against the Hurricanes, it's probably the biggest game of the season, in my opinion. I think whoever wins that game will probably end up winning the division. So it's just really important that of all the games left, those are the ones that the Rangers are winning. We can't have any of those games where we just get blown out of the water like usual. We're meant to be Stanley Cup contenders, and we need to play and act like that every single game from here on out.
Yeah, I think the Hurricanes game is arguably that's the most important game of the final. I guess that'd be the final 18 games. I guess once you play 18 games. We're 4 points ahead of them, and we had a really good. We had a really good February. They also had a very good February, so we didn't really gain any ground on them. And in addition to playing them, we play the Lightning, the Islanders, who always play us well, the Jets, Bruins, like you said, the Panthers, the Avalanche again, Penguins again. I mean, we're playing a lot of our division rivals, but at the same time, you beat the teams you need to beat. Like, yes, we beat the Blues, but we needed to beat them, and we needed to shut them out, and we needed to play that way against them. You play that way against the teams you need to play against, but come against the Carolina Hurricanes, I think we've played them pretty well the past year, dating back to Game 6 of the 2022 second round. Like, we've played them very well. But at the same time, they are the Hurricanes. They just got Jake Gensel. They're so structured, but this remaining 19 games are probably the hardest stretch of the season, and this will tell how the Rangers will stack up in the playoffs, because obviously most of these teams you're going to see in the playoffs. I mean, well, you might not see the Bruins or anything, but like, you're going to see the Hurricanes in the playoffs. You have to beat the Hurricanes, and this will tell if the Rangers are truly the top contender in the East.
Yeah. It's going to be a very interesting and a very fun, hopefully, 19 remaining games. There's a lot of great matchups coming up. And like you said, the next couple of weeks are really going to determine how far realistically the Rangers are going to go in the playoffs. February is over. Enough with the easy teams. Give me the Hurricanes. Give me the Panthers. We're ready. Igor's ready. Zibanejad will hopefully, fingers crossed, be ready. But that about wraps up today's video. Those are our 3 keys for the Rangers to finish strong. Hopefully, I mean, they're going to make the playoffs, right? It's pretty much guaranteed. But hopefully win the Metropolitan Division, and then hopefully win 16 straight games and win the Stanley Cup for the.
They're going 16-0. Trust. I'm from the future. Place a bet on it. That's my bet for the day's episode.
We'll see what happens. My fun fact of the day is that I saw a tweet that said the Rangers have won just one championship since World War II, and I hate that statistic.
You didn't have to bring that up, man.
But that's going to change. It's just going to be 2 since World War II.
Yes.
But we'll see what happens, and we'll be sure to cover their entire rest of the season and the playoffs and everything moving forward. So thank you to everyone for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you agree with our 3 keys to finish the season strong? Or would you add some more? Lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. Have a good one, and
Let's go Rangers.